Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Valley of the Judged. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me is my good brother here in the temple, asking you all of your probing questions, especially about shiny math rocks. Good brother Nephenor.
Yes, I need more dice, please. More dice.
Yeah, I had a bit of a back and forth on Blue Sky the other night regarding that, because I had stated that I'm not too particular about the die system, because judging a die system in a vacuum is kind of fucking stupid, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, you gotta take things in context. It doesn't work otherwise.
Like, I've seen people go, "Oh, the D20 has a bad bell curve." I'm like, you do realize the statistician actually looked at the different bell curves of different dice and found it not statistically significant.
Yeah, I mean, come on, people. That's all in your head. That's just, that's just you believing in RN Jesus when you should be praying to Lucifer.
Yeah. And, Lucifer, I'm going to keep that one. Depending on
that one's my favorite. If you can't win with praying to RN Jesus, sacrifice to Lucifer.
But it's one of the I think when a lot of people say that, they're usually referring to the particular die that's in the game that is the default, the normal for them. Whereas for me, as somebody who goes through a lot of games and plays a lot of games, no one die rolling system on its own in a vacuum is better than any others. And I know some people say that certain die are going to add more drama. That's just cope. Stop huffing the copium, people. That's bad for your health.
Yeah, this ain't video games. We got enough copium in the world as it is.
Mm-hmm. Although given recent events, and if I hear another person try and tell me that the gaming scene is doomed, I'm going to have them suplexed.
No. The gaming scene is not doomed. It's the AAA gaming scene is doomed, and you know what? Fuck it, they deserve it.
Mm-hmm. I know that some YouTube channels have been trying to dial back because the D&D money isn't what it used to be, which I knew was inevitable because when I saw that gold rush back in 2015, I was like, this is gonna blow up in people's face. Of course, when I said that, everybody says, "Oh, you're just being a hater." I mean, I can be a hater.
I said it was gonna blow up in their face the moment Hasbro got involved.
Although, to Hasbro's credit, throughout the 2000s, they were mostly hands-off. There were certain issues with third and fourth edition, but those weren't issues created by Hasbro per se.
Yeah, but seeing their history of Hasbro, they have a tendency of staying hands-off at first and then going ham-in and stupid.
I think if there's one thing that really made them go ham-in, it was them taking the wrong lessons from the pandemic. And also, hello there, Maki. Welcome to the party. You're just in time for us to go into a new season, as we did a bit of warm-up. So it is time. So, as mentioned, we got through Tokyo Conception. Then we went a bit into Legends Never Die, which I will be revisiting next month because I want to take the cast of Successor, the remake of Paragon, and apply it to Legends Never Die. I was thinking of using either that or Gigantic. Not Marvel Rivals, because I feel like hero shooters require a different tact. But the wheel landed on Weirdspace, and as you can see right on the back of it says in bold letters, sci-fi bollocks. Because that is the kind of game that this is going to be drawing upon.
Yes, this game's going to be full of schmeckheads.
Yeah. Some of you may recall a few years ago, I interviewed its creator, Paul Catt. And I've had some back and forths with him over the years. I haven't spoken with him in a while, and I'll laugh if he ends up catching this. But he outright said one of the big inspirations was Red Dwarf. And to a certain extent, I could also see the work of Douglas Adams as well in this.
Well, Douglas Adams has probably a good bit of DNA in a lot of British comedy.
Mm-hmm.
That and Monty Python.
Now, I had to re-download this because of a issue with not having bookmarks. This PDF does have bookmarks, but it's bookmarks for the index page, which isn't as helpful. So that's kind of unfortunate. But the other thing to note is that from the look of the interior, this very much feels like a 90s game. Although I will say that it has some better navigation than some of the games I saw in the 90s. Looking at you, Phoenix Command. No, I'm never letting that go.
Yeah, it does have a very old school look to it, but it could work. The one thing I found with it is definitely could use a little more artwork.
Mm-hmm. Which I understand. I'm not going to raise too much of a stink on that because I know artwork is damn expensive.
Yeah, that's the one thing. I mean, if it gets a little more success, a little more people on it, I'm sure that they could get a little money to put together and maybe hire an artist to do some stuff and then make a second edition that looks absolutely stunning.
Uh, which is and there's been a bit of a conundrum because of the fact that it's expensive to get art. Some people will take shortcuts and then not being it as kind of a placeholder, and then not able to get art because they use those shortcuts as a placeholder.
Or worse, some people will be stupid and go with AI art and then try and deny it afterwards.
You know, at least with the people that I know who do use it, they don't try and sugarcoat it. They've explained why they use it, and yeah, it sucks that they have to use it, but it's a case of either do that or have no art, period. So, which is the better option in that kind of situation?
Yeah. Also, the other thing on with that is I prefer it if you can have ethically sourced AI art, which means that the training data is something that's actually been paid for the license of the artists.
Yeah.
If you don't do that...
What does annoy me, however, is when some people get accused of it and it is legit art.
Yeah, that is annoying too. But I can usually tell AI art. I've learned a few of the telltale signs other than the hands. Look at the eyebrows on women, for example. In any AI art, you will see the same eyebrows on every single one.
Yeah. And there's always going to be tells, and even if you can't, there's always going to be something off that you feel that kind of uncanny valley effect. But I remember a while back when Shadow of the Weird Wizard was raising money on Kickstarter, and they ended up getting a bunch of people accusing them of using AI art, to the point where the artist did a time-lapse video just to show, no, this is legit.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta wonder, it's like, okay, people, there are artists that actually do draw like that. Just deal with it, okay?
Mm-hmm. I know there was recently that one person who got ran off the internet because of the accusation, and the person making the accusation, first off, did a non-apology and then run and hid like a coward. But that's another story entirely. Getting back to the rails, I do want to give props to the playtesters for the weird ass quotes that they ended up using, which I can believe all of those quotes happened at play in some form.
Yeah, I love that one there. Stuart Elf, you gave me implants while I was asleep.
Or, if at first you don't succeed, Russian roulette is not for you.
That's actually a pretty good maxim for everyone.
Yes, finally I get to explode.
Yes, but I've got big boobs. That's one of my favorites.
Or, why is there a fish stuck in the hull?
Well, actually, there's a counter question to that. Why isn't there a fish stuck in your hull?
Or, what do you mean, run over with a tank?
Well, I thought that happens all the time in America.
And apparently in the UK, because Eddie Hall ordered McDonald's in a fucking tank. And yes, Maki, having another go at Russian roulette is a win on itself. But and we have a credits to the artist and what you'll need to play: this book, Some dice, around 4 10-sided and a handful of 6-sided dice should be enough to get you going. Friends to play the game with. Pencils and a copy of the character sheet. A weird sense of humor. This game has a darkly comic edge to it and was never meant to be taken seriously. And drink. A little mental lubricant to get the gray matter working to its full silliness.
I am glad that they didn't say specifically alcohol, but I know some people are good for that. Otherwise, other people are great for, you know what? A little bit of sugar drink will do the same effect.
Yeah, I think we've all had that one case where the GM was drunk.
Yeah, sometimes a drunk GM, while it can be hilariously fun, really ruins the game.
Yeah, but then we have the table of contents. I will note a bit of navigation issue because it lists these sections, but it doesn't list the page count, so it's like a White Wolf table of contents.
Yeah, and I do appreciate the fact that the author specifically stated, hey, you know what? I just used he. I don't want to have to sit down and write out every single pronoun. I just use he to make it simple.
Which is standard practice.
Yeah, it is. And people who sit there and either switch pronouns constantly or have the full list. Come on, people. You're wasting space. You're just doing the old adage of, oh, let's make it double space so it takes up more space and I can say it's got the same number of pages.
Yeah, that's a lot of saying a lot to say nothing. But
yep.
Again, the big problem I have when it comes to the navigation is just the fact that, and I know it's a hard thing to do, but having page numbers and the whole thing with the index bookmarks, they're nice for like the index page, but when you need something specific that's not in the index page, that's not going to be of much help.
And actually, there is a way to do that fairly simply, but you really got to understand how to use Word properly.
I know how to do it. It's just a bit jank.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass if you don't know it.
Well, if I'm being honest, doing bookmarks, no matter what program you're using, whether it be Word or InDesign or Affinity, is a pain in the ass, but I describe it as ripping off a Band-Aid. It's gonna hurt.
You gotta do it.
But you gotta grip it and rip it. So the best advice I can do is don't linger on the pulling of the Band-Aid, just give it a good yank.
Or get somebody else to do it for you and not look at it.
Mm-hmm. It could be worse. They could be yanking duct tape off your arm.
Or worse, you could have accidentally Gorilla Glued your hair thinking it was going to hold it in place.
Somebody probably did that for a pompadour. I guarantee you.
No, it wasn't a pompadour. It was somebody did do it, and then they tried to sue the company for it.
I wouldn't sue the company. That's truth in advertising.
Oh no, they were mad because they couldn't actually do anything with their hair afterwards.
Skill issue. But after that, we get into a bit of the game explained. And he makes it very clear that he's trying to do a sci-fi game, but not one that's trying to be story heavy. Saying, sorry dudes, but if you want that, why not just write a story? And he decided instead to have events instead of plot. For example, there are vampires and werewolves on the planet of Coralho. And just going into kind of the style of things, as well as the thing saying bribery works very well. In fact, with the author as the GM, especially booze and snack booths. Wink. He's technically speaking not wrong. A good way to get into any GM's good graces is to bring the snacks.
I was going to say something else, but I'll leave it at that, yeah.
And one last note. Eating, sleeping, and shitting are all assumed to be done out of game time, as it's time-consuming and boring, unless the GM/players can make it fun.
Actually, I can see many times where the shitting one could be made fun because, something happens and causes the toilet to back up, or, something happens while you're on the toilet. That kind of stuff would be hilarious.
But then we get into the game rules. For every action the players want to make, there will be a special stat on their character sheet they can roll for, and if there isn't, it'll be covered by a specific skill. If they can roll under their percentage on 2 10-sided dice, one for the tens and one for the units, then they've done it. If a specific skill is needed and they don't have it, then they need to roll 5% or less, i.e. a critical success, in order to pull it off. Rolling double 0 is 0, not 100. You can roll 0 through 99 that way. There is to be no arguing that point. Also, rolling 95% or more is a critical fail, so there's no such thing as a sure thing. I'm glad that that's established, because that's one of those things that's always contentious when it comes to percentile rolls.
Yep. Rules lawyers love to try and argue that one.
Most of the time, I will say that 0 is just 0. I will not do that whole double zeros is 100 kind of thing. Just because
I don't mind it, depending on the game.
Yeah. But whichever one I go with, when I say it's that way, there is no arguing. Which is why I often tell people in that this is not a discussion. But moving right along, we have the roll modifiers. Which
I love this.
Go
where it says, just so the GM, that's the games master, or guy or girl who makes it up as they go along, which is probably the best description of a GM I've seen in a game book for a long time.
I'm fond of the term gaming operations director.
God.
Yep.
I am your god.
What does God need with a starship? But, roll modifiers are exactly what you think they are. We have another thing for single shot and semi-auto guns. These actions just use your RC or ranged combat stat. If you can roll under a D percentile, then you manage to shoot someone or something. For semi-auto guns, take -10 off all your RC rolls for every extra shot you want to make in your turn. For full auto guns, if the gun is spraying out 16 shots, that'd be 100 minus 150%. A lot less chance to hit, to say if you're firing off a lot more ammo. Rolling the full RC for each individual shot would take forever. RC plus S, bonus modifiers if it's fixed to the floor or something. The full auto weapons have a lot of recoil. They do now. Now minus 10% off for each shot you want to fire off, as you would have with a semi-auto gun. If you pass, then divide the shots as equally as possible between the people you were shooting at. Which, for semi-auto and full auto, I'd say that's standard fare.
Yeah, it makes it nice and simple.
Then aiming adds an extra 10%. Cold shot is done with a -40 modifier. And of course, when you do the cold shot, you declare what you're trying to shoot at. Flamer throwers have different types of damage depending on the size of the flamethrower. And -10% like semi-auto per extra target, unless fired into a small space. Whoever heard of a pistol-sized flamethrower?
Brother, get the flamer. The heavy flamer.
Yes, this is the Flammenwerfer. It works flammen. Let's see.
Yes.
Then we have grenades, which are D3 times D10 damage, and gives a spread of 1 to 30 points of damage. This takes into consideration all sorts of factors, ergo how close to the intended target the grenade lands. If it were placed next to someone or something, then the target would take the full 30. Roll RC to throw, strength divided by 10 to give an idea of how far they can throw it. Also, strength test to hold someone down while you gaffer tape the grenade to their groin.
Well, I like that they're giving ideas of how to take care of things right in the book. That's always nice.
This is just an example of a standard grenade, but there are more types later on in the book. I'm suddenly reminded of the whole exploding pants gag that we saw in Fallout 3.
I never actually played any of the Fallout games.
Because you could sneak and take things out or put things in people's inventory. One of the things you could put in someone's inventory is a lit grenade.
I like this.
So reverse theft. And it got the nickname of Exploding Pants because for one, that was the stat used when you did the thing, and two, it's like you're taking a grenade with a pulled pin and hiding it in someone's pocket.
Yeah, but you better run as soon as you do that.
Well, true, but it'd be even funnier if instead of a frag grenade, it was a flash.
Flash pants?
Yes. Oh.
They did a movie called... Oh, wait, no, that was Flash Dance. Close enough.
But, of course, then we have hiding behind stuff, so, cover. And it shows how much points of damage your cover can take before it isn't covering anything anymore. And I do like that dead body is one of the covers, so if you want
I was just going to say that is perfect.
That's something that's not considered all that often, if somebody wants to do the human shield tactic.
Not just human shield. I mean, like, for example, you could use that as... If somebody throws a grenade into a room, what do? You hide under the dead bodies that are already there.
Yeah, pretty much. Then climbing. Climbing is a strength test. If your toughness is higher than your strength, then the difference is a minus modifier to that roll. The same goes in reverse. If your strength is higher than toughness, you get a bonus modifier. I'm not sure why that would need to be a thing. It seems a little odd. At least on the reverse end of things. But see, then we have falling damage, gravity-related injuries, 1 point of damage.
That is the best term for falling damage. I love that.
For every 3 feet or 1 meter fallen. Roll twice on the location table to see which locations have taken the brunt of the impact. Then close combat sequence. Both fighters take initiative tests. If both players succeed in their roll, then the player that passed the target number by the most wins. That player gets the first attack. If they both fail, then it's the one who failed by the lowest amount. The defending player...
Remember, Snake?
Yep.
Use your CQC.
Mm-hmm. The defending player gets an attempt to block or dodge. To do so, roll close combat or initiative, respectively, to either get a weapon in the way or to get out of the way. The defending player then becomes the attacking player, and it goes the other way. In the second round of combat, defensive rolls have a minus 20 modifier on them. Third one has 40, then 60, etc., etc. This is, of course, one of the players has a skill that says otherwise. Every player, regardless of close combat skills, can use the ones listed on the combat skills marked with an asterisk, as these are the standard moves anyone with a TV could have learned. Let's see, then encumbrance, which the combined weight of it as to cap at your strength stat. Any further than that puts a penalty on your initiative. And then house rules and corrections. Please use the space below to add anything you've thought of later or rules that your gaming group has agreed on that make the game flow better.
That is a nice thing to have, although I think it would have been hilarious if they'd put that at the bottom of a page that had already been full and didn't have any room at all.
Mm-hmm. So,
that would have just been funny for the joke in itself.
Yeah. But, so then we have standard close combat moves. So punch and kick does d6 damage. +1 for every 10 full points of strength over 50 you have. Grab has a -40 modifier and is a CC roll. Choke. Oh, when you grab somebody by the neck, you can choke them out. It is strength minus your victim's toughness to cause 1 level of damage to their head. If you try to do it one-handed, have your strength for the roll. And block is a CC roll. With a successful block, you can choose the location you've taken damage to in an unarmed fight. If you happen to be armed with something, then you can block and parry with your weapon. Dodge, it's initiative instead of CC. Counterattack, after a critical success at a block, dodge, or parry, you can have an extra free attack before your next turn in combat. Aim, with a -40 modifier, you can aim your attack at a certain location, for example, the head. This has already been taken into account for grabs. Note, having multiple limbs does not give your character multiple attacks, just more choice as to what to hit your opponent with. And then it talks about fighting styles, though it's really a case of come up with your own moves. So not much there.
I do appreciate that drunken brawling is listed in the moveset. Okay, the next section, I'm already loving the first line of the first one.
But then we have vehicle combat. Running people over / hitting people. Hitting someone with a moving vehicle can be very easy and a lot of fun. Unless they pass an awareness test to see it coming and get out of its way, the damage caused by a vehicle is equal to the speed it was going divided by 10 plus its hull rating. For example, a car with a hull rating of 10 going at 100 miles per hour would do 20 points of damage to whatever it hits. If it hit a person, that would be 20 points of damage to every location.
So, pretty fatal.
Then falling off.
Which makes sense.
Yep, makes sense. Although there's only certain cars that are going to be going that fast.
100 miles an hour? I mean, we're talking sci-fi. It could probably get pretty fast. Especially if you're doing like a flying car, in which case those things don't have to worry about friction on the ground anyway, so.
Falling off a fast-moving vehicle. If you're in a car or on a bike and are somehow struck or fall off, take the initial damage from the hit itself. And then another D10 points for every full 10 miles per hour your vehicle was going. This is to show your character skidding along the floor afterwards. Biking leathers are made to reduce this sort of damage. That's reduce, not completely remove. And I agree with Hydra. Carmageddon, anyone?
Oh god, I love that game.
Then, shooting at a fast-moving target, it is minus the difference in speed of the vehicle in miles per hour from your RC test when shooting at one. Then, shooting from a fast-moving vehicle, minus the difference in speed of the vehicle in miles per hour from your RC test when shooting from one. There is a skill to compensate for this should you find yourself doing it a lot. Then, vehicle hit locations. After you've got out of the battle, with your vehicle hopefully in one piece, you can then have a look and see how it's doing. If it's dented or worse, then roll in the damage location table below and see what's repaired, or what needs to be repaired. So if it's dented, one system needs replacing. Half trashed, 2 systems. Shafted, 3 systems. Pretty damn fucked, 4 systems. Destroyed, all of them. And if you roll 0 to 40, it's an essential. 41 or higher, a non-essential. Also, to shoot at the driver / rider / pilot instead of the vehicle, you will need to aim at them, so taking the aim penalty. Or get a critical success on a normal ranged combat test. And if you happen to be going over 60 miles an hour, then it's classified as high speed. The extra speed in miles per hour is a minus modifier to any piloting, driving, or riding rolls that need to be made unless you have a skill that says otherwise. And hang on a minute. And as far as the core mechanics, that is more or less it. I'm not entirely sure if putting these at the front of the book would have been the move I would have made personally, because you're introducing a lot of terms that people aren't going to be familiar with.
Yeah, and a lot of people also just want to start off by making a character and then getting into the rules slowly over time.
Yeah, there's a very specific reason why one of the first few chapters in a lot of games is character creation. Um, I just got finished reading through the core rules for Dragonbane, because I'm gonna be putting a video up on that in a few days, and by the time you get to like page 12, it's already started with character creation, and the thing's only 150 pages. Slightly less if you use the version from the core set. But I know there's not a lot to go on, but what did you think so far of Weirdspace?
It's definitely got an interesting system of dealing with things, and I love the humor that they've got in it. It's definitely one of the things that's making me like it already. It's just goofy, and it doesn't take itself seriously, which is a good start.
Yeah, there's a reason why we often say you play elf games when it comes to that sort of thing. You know, this isn't to be taken all that serious. Now,
Why so serious?
I don't have enough of a Glasgow smile to do that. As far as whether I'm going to run it personally, I mean, I could, but I'd have to wait. I'd have to weigh my options and see where I'm feeling with that. Something I'm going to be doing in the next few days is just going through my library and seeing what I'm more likely to run as a one-shot, or for the monthly one-shots, and what I'm more likely to run for a full campaign. Of course,
for me, my kind of comedy game is something where you can have fun with everybody, and it's PvP.
Yeah.
So you know exactly which game I'm talking about.
Yeah, Paranoia.
Damn straight.
Because otherwise, I'd have to ask if you were unhappy with your clearance, citizen.
I am very happy with my Bouncy Bubble Beverage friend computer.
But with that said, we'll be going a little bit longer with this next week, because this was just the opener, and usually the first episodes of our seasons are on the shorter end of things. But this time next week, we will be delving into character creation. So keep an eye out for that. So until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.